pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I haven't put anything out yet.
Tom, did you find some back to civilization?
I've been in civilization every day.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, live very far from you, just work all the time.
I've never seen it. Got your feet plugged up, you're on.
Yes, I've got, thank you.
Brand new, I can't think of the name. Not a, just a new vehicle.
That's one.
They even sell it, but how did that happen?
Probably not.
Yeah, $900 some odd dollars later. Huh. Yeah, it's very, what's that for?
MSD.
I was very accurate, I think. The 204 Stuyvesant, is that in the city limits?
I'll look it up, I don't,
Oh,
not off the top of my head, that travel north,
yeah.
just that house on the corner.
Yeah, it's got all the junk out there.
Yeah, they're moving in. It's like a bed and stuff.
Yeah, on the TV, they're.
Yeah, they're moving in.
They got stuff piled all around.
Yeah, they're moving it in. State Bank of Whittier. I'll double check that.
I could book on mine, I guess, I'll do that.
Commissioner Garvelia. Yes. Commissioner Story.
Present.
Commissioner Bergen. Commissioner Messerschmidt.
Here.
Mayor Condit.
Yes. Reading and approval of minutes, Commissioner Garvelia.
Everyone has an opportunity to look at their minutes. And if there's no corrections or additions or changes, I make a motion that they stand approved.
Second.
Commissioner Garvelia? Yes. Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messerschmidt?
Yes.
Mayor Condit?
Yes. The subject property report, Commissioner Perkins.
Mayor, it looks like Commissioner Perkins is not here this evening. I do see a ditch witch purchase order number 1765 in his packet, $7,241.88 for a Utiliguard 2 Advanced transmitter, apparently, $7,241.68. We need to make a motion to approve that purchase order for Commissioner Perkins.
I'll, just need a motion to be made on it.
Motion a second to pay it. You guys are going to pay it.
I'll make a motion to do the advance, whatever it is.
I'll second.
Commissioner Story, Commissioner Garvelia? Yes. Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messerschmidt?
Yes.
Mayor Condit?
Yes.
I don't see anything else you have in here tonight, Mayor, unless there's something else there.
Okay. Streets and improvements, Mr. Messerschmidt.
Mr. Mayor, we only have two things. It is time to renew our annual MFT program, and we, myself and the lead man, Scott Skinner, met with Rodney Potts, discussed this last year, what our needs were, what our usage was, where we were over and under in certain areas, and Mr. Skinner made some adjustments and recommendations to Mr. Potts, and you'll see before you submitted is the 2020 MFT program for the sum of $375,000, and I'd like to make a motion that be accepted.
That'll be resolution 1919.
Second.
Commissioner Garvelia? Yes. Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messerschmidt? Mayor Condit?
Yes.
The second thing that I have this evening is the final payment on our backhoe. And get things paid off and not have things hanging over our head. And so the final payment will be $24,570.22. In order to make that payment, we need to move $20,000 from MFT to the municipal utility tax. And that $20,000 comes for how we basically rent the equipment back to ourselves. And so we're able to transfer that money over legally and be able to use that money to pay that backhoe off. So I'd like to make a motion that we move $20,000 from our MFT account over to the municipal utility tax to make the final payment in January.
I second that motion.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messersohn?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes.
And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Public health and safety report, Commissioner Story.
I don't have anything.
Accounts and finance report, Commissioner Garvelia.
Yes. We have the monthly bills this week, this meeting. Approval of the payroll. We actually have 2 payrolls for this meeting. The first payroll is December the 13th, and from that payroll, we have $69,879.30. It came out of the general fund, and out of the water, sewer fund, we have $27,780.49, which makes a total of $97,659.79. And that's for the December 3rd payroll. For the December 27th payroll, out of the general fund, we have $62,432.86. For the water and sewer fund, we have $27,674.83. And out of the airport, we have $1,100. And then paid on call, fire, we have $2,760.87. And that makes the total payroll for December 27th at $93,968.56.
Remember both those payrolls.
I make a motion that both of those payrolls be approved.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messersohn?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes.
There's no sewer adjustment, and the next thing that we have on the agenda is discussion of the PO order amount. This was brought up at our last meeting, and that we had discussed the need to bring the $500 limit that we have. We can go up to $500, and then we have to get a purchase order and bring that down to $250, because we felt that we needed to have a closer rein on that amount of money. $500 is a lot of money for someone to just be able to go out and deem it necessary to make a purchase without going through a purchase order. So I would like to open that up for discussion. I mean, I brought it before you,
Right.
and you,
I got a question.
okay.
Things are going higher instead of lower.
Mhm.
I talked to my department heads, and they don't think that it would benefit them, because what they purchased is more than $250. And they suggested maybe if they need the 500, if you and I would have to agree with it to let them go to the 500.
Yes, we would have, it would take, what it would require is having planning ahead to make
Right.
purchases up to that
Right.
amount. And if it's an emergency, then, that would be a different story.
Well, like Shane said, he buys 2 pairs of gloves, fire retardant gloves. That's $500 or close to it, for something.
And can he not purchase those in advance and get a purchase order for them?
I don't know when they wear out, like a fire or something.
Well, and that's why I spoke with Skinner, had some similar conversation, and that's what we talked about, was what constitutes an emergency in the situation. I've even discussed with him about all purchase orders, rather than being directly turned in, to be passed through me. And so we're in that conversation about how would we do that. The street department doesn't often run into emergencies, so the question would be what constitutes an emergency. And from our perspective, does it kind of hamstring and tighten things up a little bit? It does. But at the end of the day, the streets department, we're like, yeah, that makes sense to us. From a $250 standpoint, yeah, it'd be inconvenient, and it might slow progress down, but from a fiscal responsibility for the city to be able to manage the money better and know what's coming and going, there's a part of me that I feel that's not a bad idea to think about that. But I'm also, rather than him doing a purchase order, I would like to see those purchase orders myself. That doesn't always happen. And so I'd even like for him to pass those through me so that I can be aware of always what's going on rather than just getting in the report. So.
Well, I would like to make a motion at this point that we change the purchase order amount from $500 down to $250.
Is there any definition of what constitutes an emergency?
I don't believe we have anything in writing what constitutes an emergency.
That can be very subjective.
Hard, yes.
That's very
Might be-
subjective.
Exactly, might be
you know.
something each department would work on, but,
That's a moving target
so that
on
would
a
be-
sliding scale.
That would really fall on the commissioner to determine that for their department.
As finance commissioner, would you be the final stop for that?
Yes.
So we could say, hey, it's an emergency, and if we present it and you say, poor planning on our part doesn't constitute an emergency.
Right, poor planning will not constitute an emergency, but if an error has been made, and we all are human, and there's a need, obviously, then poor planning may create an emergency, so that would have to be looked at.
And then learn from it, and then go next time, let's not let it happen again.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's management, there's a concept of thought of management in place about how to follow through to make sure that, okay. Well, I'll second the motion.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
No.
Commissioner Messersohn?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes.
Okay, the next on the agenda is the revision of the credit card policy. And pass those out and let you have an opportunity to look over them. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just go over this. I feel like this is something that needs to be brought up again with each employee who is given the privilege of using the credit card, and that that they sign again if they are authorized to use it, that they sign it again. So I'd like to go over these. We did revise them from the past, added a couple of items to it. Number one, authorized employees of the city of Benton may use the municipal credit card for the purchase of goods or services for the official business of the city of Benton. When used for city business, number two, when used for city business travel, the credit card will be allowed for booking hotel rooms only. The employee will purchase all meals and will be required to submit a form to the finance department for reimbursement. Number three, the credit card will not be used for personal purchases of any kind. Number four, splitting of charges to avoid the transaction limit as set by the council or by ordinance is prohibited. 5, there will be no charges allowed for alcohol, tips, or entertainment. 6, no cash advances are allowed using the credit card. 7, each authorized employee must take all measures necessary to ensure the security of the credit card and the card number. Authorized users will not give the card or card number to others to use on their behalf. 8, this is a new one. Stating the credit card number is strictly prohibited in any form. This includes written or photo duplication, such as screenshots or photocopies. 9, prior approval must be obtained from the finance commissioner before the card information is used to set up a recurring charge or is saved on any website or any account. The finance commissioner will determine if this is safe to do. If approval is given, the user must provide the finance commissioner with a list that includes the vendor or website name, the account number, the amount of the charge, and the reason that necessitates the charge. That also is new. 10, lack of proper documentation or authorization may result in loss of credit card privileges and/or personal liability. 11, misuse of the credit card by authorized employees may result in loss of credit card and/or disciplinary action against the employee up to and including termination of employment. 12, all receipts related to the purchase and the complete attached form and the completed attached form must be forwarded to the finance department within 2 days of the purchase. The form must be completed and signed. Frequent instances of missing documentation may result in the cardholder's privileges being revoked. 13, it is the card user's responsibility to submit the receipts and other documentation within a time frame stated above. If the information is not submitted in timely manner, the department that has not submitted the information will be responsible for the interest and/or late charges. Charging privileges of the individual or department may be suspended or revoked. 14, if a credit card is lost or stolen, it must be reported to the finance department immediately after discovery. Does anybody have any comments or
I have a question on number 12.
Number 12.
In regards to 2 days, first of all, my first thought is, should it be business days rather than just 2 days? My question is, for example, if someone goes to IML and they were to use the card at IML, let's say she didn't prepay for lodging, you paid for lodging there, and IML's 4 days. Is 2 days enough time with adequate turnaround? What was the reason for 2 days rather than a 4-day or a 5-day?
2 days was what was on the prior credit card policy. That was not changed.
So that was not changed?
That was not changed.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Is 2 days, then my question is 2 days a reasonable amount of time?
Brooke, could you answer that question?
I mean, if I said within 5 business days, is that too long?
From my standpoint, taking care of the bills, as long as you get with me and say I'm going to have the bill by the time it needs to be paid, then I wouldn't personally myself see an issue with that. But I would just assume that if it were going to be longer than 2 days stated in the policy, you just check with Kathy and say, it's not going to be possible to get it here in 4 to 8 hours. Is it okay if we get it here by?
Okay. Which is fine with me, I just didn't know if that was new or if that was added in. So my thought is that somebody could charge something on a Friday, it's not possible to hand it in on a Sunday. That's why I thought 2
Okay.
business days.
2 business days.
So, and then I started to wonder, is 2 days enough, too quick? But from what she said, that makes perfect sense.
Should we amend that? Make a
Read
correction, pardon,
Just to read business.
to read business, yeah. Would you like, okay. Anything else?
Number 11, isn't that pretty harsh, terminate somebody for losing a credit card? If that's the case, I've been fired many times.
For misusing?
Misusing authorization.
Number 11.
Loss of credit and discipline action against an
No,
employee.
that's if someone misuses the credit card.
Yeah, if you misuse the card, you may lose the
Oh,
right
I
to
can-
use the card.
Yeah, I can see that. I
Or,
misread it.
Okay.
Yeah, I misread it. The or is in there, yeah. What about, are we gonna have 2 cards or 1?
We're going to have 2 cards.
As a
But-
backup.
One will only be a backup and it will be locked up. The other card, the only reason it's, if someone in the city is come to get the card, sign the card out, going to use it and bring it back, the only time that there would ever be an issue is if Brooke would be, or someone would take the credit card with them. With Brooke, you'd be the only one, wouldn't you? So that's the only reason there'd be a backup.
Well, right,
We will
right.
we'll be operating with one
One's
car.
going out town,
But
the other one will be.
But if Brooke happens to, she's gone out of town and has the card with her, then Lindsay would be the backup for that. And she's the assistant city clerk, and she will have that worked up. So we've got that covered.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Anything else? I would like to make a motion that we adopt this credit card policy with the change of 2 business days in number 12.
We changed it to.
Adding the word business.
Adding the word business.
Now, are we gonna send these to every department?
The commissioners will be responsible for those who are using, who have the authorization up to this point to use the credit card, they will need to sign this. Even if they have one in their file currently, this needs to be signed.
Will the
because
department
it's
heads
different.
get that? Will they get
Yes.
a copy of this?
It'll be up to us to make sure the department is, yes, what
Yes.
you're saying? Okay. Okay, the way we sit down with them, we go through this and we make sure
Yes.
they understand what the changes are and the implications.
You got it.
All right, let's second the motion.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
I guess.
Commissioner Merschman?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes.
Okay, with the credit card policy, there does not seem to be a credit card ordinance in the book. And I would like to make a motion that our attorney, Tom Malkovich, works on a credit card ordinance for the city of Benton.
What would that ordinance look like? What's, I mean, what purpose, reason, design, goal? What's the why for the ordinance? What would that ordinance do?
I'm not sure that that would need to be in an ordinance form. That may just be under employees, like a handbook, a manual, employee discipline. That's something I can discuss with you, and we can address it
Okay.
another time.
So it may not need to be an ordinance, may just be something something else.
I can discuss that.
But something in writing that has some meat to it, that has some
It
stick.
may be if what you already have, once the employees have it, maybe they can sign off on that. But I think that's something I can discuss with Commissioner Garvelia, and we can make it, bring that back to the council, and let them know.
Okay.
We'll table that.
I think that makes the most sense. A motion to table that.
Yes.
Second
Okay.
that, so. Yeah, we gotta vote on that, don't we?
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Merschman?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes.
Okay. So going over the personnel code and also making some discoveries out in the city that have brought some concerns to me, I wanted to discuss this matter. It's come to my attention that there are employees using company vehicles for personal use, and there has been in the past personal or city equipment that has been used for personal use, and there is, it's clearly defined in the personnel code that is prohibited. Mayor, you have also equipment setting out and not being taken care of. Saw a mower setting out that I know has been out for over a week because witnessed it one day and then witnessed it a week later and it's not been moved, and that does not seem to be proper care of city equipment. We have a responsibility to the taxpayers to take care of our equipment and our vehicles, and we have a responsibility not to add additional cost with fuel and with tires and wear and tear on vehicles. So I don't know if it means that we need to beef up the personnel code, find Mayor, would you like to address this and speak to things that you have witnessed?
Yeah, today, I got a phone call from one of the commissioners, and I'm directing this to the council. And he had to stop into our wastewater treatment plant, which, you know, we're very proud of, $14 million proud of. And he went into the restroom. He witnessed a bizarre situation. The restrooms are filthy. It had fecal matter on the stool. It had a rancid smell in the restrooms. And it was a very simple situation that they weren't clean. We work hard, the council works hard taking care of what we have and getting the best of what we have and going beyond the bounds of keeping things hygienic and keeping it clean. That was said. Something that was mentioned about a trailer being on city property. I'm circling down to what's costing us money, where we're wasting our money. So, I got in my car and drove out to the wastewater treatment plant and didn't see a trailer there, so I drove out to the water barn area, which is adjacent to across the street from the wastewater treatment plant. It's like a mirage. There was a personally owned camper trailer parked on city property, and that amazed me. So I got out, took a photo of the trailer, took a photo of the license plate current. Besides the trailer was another trailer, and its license plate was current, and it was out there. So I get in my car and I drive across the lot and I go to it's called the barn area where they keep, where supposedly we store our equipment, of which the riding lawnmower has been sitting outside on a trailer. Trailer hitch had no lock on it. Anybody with a truck and a trailer hitch could have backed up to it, pulled it off, sight unseen. You know, we hold our employees to high standards, and this is one of the lowest standards I've ever seen since I've been there, 4.5 years. There's stuff out there, and zoning czar David Garavaglia went with me because I wanted to witness to see this. We walked the property. There's stuff dumped out there: washing machines, bicycles, air conditioners, old trailers, tires on rims, just junk, okay? We called a few people to find out why are these things here, and the answer we got, they're just there for a short time period, and then we get them all together and we crush them, we take them to recycle, and we get the money, and we use that money to buy soda pop with. Okay? Believe me, if we collected everything that's out there for scrap metal, you could buy a lot of soda pops. First of all, it's not for them, whoever they are, to spend that money on soda pop. It comes into the coffers of the city. It showed me that there's tremendous waste going on. Stuff, tools and stuff is strewn every place. I mean, it was incredible. I guess I'm going to ask Mr. Garavaglia, am I speaking out of turn here? Have I been fairly accurate of what?
I say you're fairly accurate, but you didn't mention the boat trailer.
Okay, there was a boat trailer that was, and I'm going to use this word hidden, because in the summertime when the trees foliate and the brush grows up and the bush is high, you couldn't see it. It's almost as if it was hidden. And then as Mother Nature takes its course, and there was some strange going on with tree cutting out there, which Mr. Garibay and I were just amazed at. I don't think we ever figured that one out. But there's a bulk trailer that had been there for some years.
Long time.
Yeah. Now, we were told that all that stuff was collected in a timely fashion. It was put into a grinder or a smasher and then hauled to the recycle center for soda pop, okay? I don't believe that. And I'm challenging every member on this council to get to the bottom of this and find out exactly what's going on. And that's what I had to say to Mr. Garibay. That's my end of the day. This day for me has been extremely disappointing to the mayor. I thought after 4.5 years that we would have righted the ship, and it's taken me down to ground zero. If we have a serious problem with that kind of mindset.
And I just happened to put it on the agenda because it was something that I found troubling, and so the mayor went out and looked and witnessed some things. But, I mean, our personnel code, I believe it addresses everything that needs to be addressed. We need to put meat into it. We need to make sure, we need to hold people accountable for it. I mean, it states here, unauthorized use of city property such as city-owned vehicles and equipment and materials, and you hear that someone has authorized somebody else to drive a vehicle because theirs broke down or whatever. We don't have that right. This is not our equipment. This is the city's equipment. It's the taxpayers' equipment. And we need to hold people accountable for these things. And for the proper care of city equipment, which brings me to an inventory. Each department needs to inventory what is in their department. Each vehicle needs to have an inventory of the equipment that is in that inventory. And we need to adopt a policy or something that we can have periodic count and inventory of these items.
Isn't that something that we've already begun? And that what you handed to me, and I handed it to Skinner to go through the inventory list and to add things to and from to make sure that we have that?
We do that every year at the end of the year. I've already turned in what the water department gave me, and we did one for City Hall. When I went on vacation, I was waiting on street department, police department, and fire department to get theirs back to me.
Do you feel that once a year is frequent enough?
I do. Once a year, I mean, if you don't, why take the time off doing it twice a year? What does places do? Do they do once a year? I know.
Usually for most, regular businesses, they do an inventory at the end of the year, especially if they're for-profit businesses, and then they pay tax on their inventory, and, that.
Once a year.
So it's usually done at the end of the year to kind of set them up for the next financial year. So that's if you're running from, January to December, that's pretty common. So the fact that we do it in December, I think it's just because that's when we do it. Now, if we need to line up with the budget year, that could be another way to do it, is to go into the next budget year. But once a year, I mean, I know personally from Skinner, they keep track of their stuff all the time, and they know if something's been taken to the water department, or if they need to go get it to get it back, or if it's being used. Most of the time, they can account for just about everything and anything that something breaks down, what they replace it with. So I feel like for them, for the most part, it's ongoing. So it's not in paper, and it's not being submitted, but I feel like that on a regular basis, they're keeping track of what they've got, where it is, how it's being used, and if something needs to be replaced. So I think a once-a-year summary of pulling all that together is a great thing to do. I don't know that more than once a year is necessary, at least for our department.
Does each truck have a list of what's on that truck? And then is it, when things are replenished, because when bills come in and I'm signing for purchase of new toolkits,
I will say,
why.
when I became commissioner, we are working that direction.
Okay. Good.
It should be, and there should be a form that's kept in the truck, and that form that's in the truck should account for the inspection of the truck, that everything works in the truck, and that what's supposed to be in the truck. That's not always been the case, so we have slowly been working that direction to get caught up to speed
Okay.
to where all those things are being accounted for.
This area is very important. Ironically, we had some furnace problems this week, and our furnace maintenance man was telling me how they keep track of their tools, because I asked, they do a weekly summary on their truck. After on Fridays, they basically write down what they have on a form sheet, and it takes, how long does that take? It takes about 10 minutes. I mean, they keep it running total what they have.
Well, and that's a lot of probably supplies and equipment.
Yes.
Or materials.
Correct.
So I'm sure to make sure that they have adequate materials when they go to a job site, they've got to have X of these and Y of these and Z of those. And for the street department, the truck.
Yeah.
It's more about, do they have a good first aid kit? Do they have, PPEs? Do they have, they have the proper equipment? Do they, for street, there's very little they actually keep in the truck. Now, water might have a lot more in their truck, based on what their needs are when they show up to the site in an emergency situation. So,
I think the water department, they have a lot of stuff in their trucks.
yeah.
Because they use.
Yeah, and then it's similar to the HVAC, they would have to.
Right.
Because if you come up to a site, you don't know necessarily what you're going to need, so you got to have a variety of things to be able to.
That's not my department, but I see them with stuff in the truck.
Yeah.
But as far as the fire department, they haven't turned it in to you yet. They probably will get it to you.
Yeah.
But
What time of
they
year?
keep track of their hoses and everything.
I get it turned in before the first of the year.
Okay.
And they might have turned it in, I haven't been here in a week, so they may have turned it in. I just know I hadn't got it when I went on.
I know they had some stuff that, some bad holes that they had to take out, so they put it down,
Well, then-
Something on the board.
I just wanted to bring these items up, and,
Sure.
I see a need that we need to tighten the ship up, and,
I would say in regards to your experience today, Mr. Mayor, that, I can understand the frustration and exhaustion of that. The water department property is so far removed from everybody's daily travels without any stopping by and visitation, and maybe I could see how that would be something that could happen without, just kind of, checking in, stopping by. I mean, street bar, and it's pretty obvious, it's hard to miss. It's right there where it is. And
It's unacceptable.
yeah, has there been, I guess, this conversation and follow-up and dialogue with Commissioner Perkins and figuring out the course
Actually,
of
I
action?
haven't, with Mr. Perkins, Commissioner Perkins' situation right now, he hasn't been available, so to speak.
Sure.
And I haven't really had a chance to talk with him.
I have that report there.
City attorney, nothing?
Mayor, the only update tonight is to let the council know that Commissioner Story and I are in the process of working on this new dispatch agreement, whether it end up being with West City or somewhere else. So the hours expired at the end of October, and West City will continue to provide that service at it'll be the same fee plus an additional $500 while we're negotiating per month, and that was in paragraph 13 of the earlier agreement, so that's where we're at.
That was in the contract, right?
Correct. That's all I have, Mayor.
Any comments on that?
So it's now month to month, we're outside of a contract? Correct. Does that mean that at any point on either side, we can terminate that at the end of whatever month we're in?
Well, what we'll do is with notice, but I mean, basically, they've agreed to continue to provide the service.
I was just concerned that all of a sudden they'll go, sorry, you're on your own.
As long as we pay.
Okay.
I was told they're the only game in town.
No.
I did
So you're looking-
contact,
you're
I
looking for a
did
different game.
contact the sheriff's department about getting a price from him.
Okay.
He's working on that.
Okay.
I don't know what West City's gonna pay us, what we're gonna pay the MEA, it's up to them. After we find out, we just have to bring it to the table.
Okay. Very good. I like it.
Okay, public affairs, discussion and approval of proposal from Chris Minkowski for demolition of 308 North Buchanan and 208 West Parish. Mr. Garabog, do you have anything to say about that?
I'll just update the council there, 208 West Parish and 308 North Buchanan, that's purchased from the county trustee. The 308 North Buchanan is a two-story home, which is very bad disrepair. 208 Parish is not too far behind us, a single-story home with 3 large garage behind it. And past, we seek proposals from various individuals. I've known Mr. Minkowski probably for 20-plus years. He's had some experience tearing things down. He's a farmer, and he's working probably with Mike Wiggett, and I think they've done some stuff over at Christopher. There was 2 proposals here, and here's the deal. Got $20,000 to tear things down this year, and I've expended that on 5 properties. I've expended 2 properties out, there's 3 more to go. The pool boys handling those currently over on East Taylor Street. We'll be moving on to 2 other places to get the total of 5 done. Mr. Minkowski is agreeable to be paid on or before June 1st of next year, 2020, so we can actually budget something for that and get the man paid.
So he's willing to tear it down now and be paid in June?
Yes, and he's ready to go today. And I go, whoa, we gotta get a deed first. I'm gonna follow up with the county trustee, like, where's the deed? It's been a couple of months.
Are both of these homes currently vacant?
Yeah.
I just figured I'd ask the question.
And I think you're gonna take care of the one on, Grand Street there. don't you?
Yes, we sure are.
You're
Yeah.
gonna do that this winter.
Yeah, we've had multiple discussions about timeline, and
There are 3 that we
if
purchased.
it's still 60 and sunny, we're gonna work on the streets.
Yeah. Probably do some seeding of grass or whatnot in this weather, it'd probably germinate.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I'd recommend Chris Minkowski. He's a nice fellow, he's very knowledgeable, and he's honest. So I'll tell you that much, he is an honest person.
And the reason to go with him is because he's willing to post date to June, and we can get work done now. Because not living in Benton, I just want to make sure that the reason we would consider him is because we can see progress now, and we can timeline it for payment to June.
That's true. Now, I think Mr. Poole would be agreeable to that too, and I've got some more now. Hate using the same guy for everything. It's something we really need to kind of pass around, because everybody will get jealous at some point in time.
Is she the cheapest, Dave?
That's the only proposal I got
Oh,
from
it's
these
only
2 here.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I'm just glad that-
that was my next question. Okay, so he's the only one that submitted a
I'll be
proposal.
glad to go out and get some more
No,
proposals.
no,
That's what
you're
supposed to
fine.
do.
Yeah.
I'm
Fine.
just trying to find an ends to a means here.
That's right. No,
Sure.
you're fine.
Okay.
What's the total bid?
Well, we've got one right here on 308 West Perry Street, 4,700. We got one here in the 2-story thing, it's 308 North Buchanan, it's $5,200.
So I'll make a motion to accept those proposals.
I make the motion that we accept the proposals for this Minkowski, for the, tear down of 3845 Renero Lake Road, and for
No, that's Chris's address.
That's his
Oh,
home
I'm
address.
so sorry, where am I?
We're not tearing that house down.
No, better not, that's pretty fancy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's on the other one too.
308 North Buchanan, $5,200.
There we go, 308.
West Parish for $4,700.
Okay, ditto.
And that's for tearing down now, but payment in June.
Correct.
On or
Payment
before?
in June.
On or before June 1st.
On or before June 1st. I'll second that.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Merschman?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. Just to interject, that we have had donors that have donated money to the city for tear downs and demolition and things like that, so we've been very fortunate to have that. Part C of discussion or approval of drug-free employee ordinance, and Attorney Malkovich.
Mayor, with the new Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, Public Act 101-0593, the Illinois Municipal League has provided what they would consider a model drug and alcohol policy for the communities to adopt. So I would ask, and you can see that in your packets, I would ask that someone make a motion in a second to accept the INO model for a drug and alcohol policy for the city of Benton, effective January 1, 2020.
I make the motion to accept IML model, drug and alcohol policy.
That'll be 1917.
Second it.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Merschman?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. And in your packet, you have Part D of discussion or approval of airport terminal bid And the low bid came in with Midwest Petroleum and Excavating from 1219 West Main Street in Benton. Any questions or any discussion?
When would they be starting this, do you know?
It seemed to me it was in the spring of next year.
Pretty quick.
And this is coming out of the airport.
Correct.
So you need a motion?
Midwest Petroleum and Excavating.
I make the motion for the approval of the bid for Midwest Petroleum and Excavating for the airport terminal.
Second.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Merschman?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. F and G, and Mr. Garavaya can address these, please. Discussion and/or approval of rescinding the Crawford and Associates mapping approval previously approved at the November 2019 meeting.
Yes, sir, we had a map made up about 3 years ago by Shawnee out here on North 20th Street. It had the enterprise zone, the TIF zone, and all of the zoning districts, and it's really handy to use. We got a new TIF, we got a new enterprise zone, start January 1st, 2020, and we've expanded in certain areas from the previous enterprise zone. Most of it's still there, but we've added to it. I talked to Victor Shockley at Crawford and Associates there. He quoted us the price of $3,400 to update that map. And then whenever I talked to Keith Moran, he goes, "Why are you doing that for? I'll just give you mine." I said, "Okay." So he sent it the next day. Hey, it's good enough for me. It works. You can see what you're doing on it, and it's great. And so I did send an email to Victor. I think it was last Wednesday in the evening. I think I copied in the mayor and the city attorney and maybe somebody else. I don't recall. I haven't heard back from Victor yet. So Rick said he's already been paid. I don't know if he's cast a check or not. I don't know why he had any objection that we got the check files and it's there. I can download that on a CD and it'll be good enough. Maybe the next zoning person might want to do it differently. If I could save $3,400, I could tear down another house somewhere or something, you know, and clean up another mess that we'll talk about shortly.
So you need us to make a motion to rescind the need for that map?
I'd like to. This
That's-
one we got is perfect. That's
Okay.
great.
Someone make that motion?
I make the motion to send on the mapping.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Good job, Dave.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Merschman?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. Part G is discussion and or approval of proposal from Jim Emerson to remove specified items from the real estate of 1107 Highland Street pursuant to court order obtained by code enforcement. Mr. Garvelia?
Yes, thank you again. Franklin, can you do those pictures up there?
Yep.
But we're gonna try something different here with the council. We're gonna show them pictures of 1107 Highland Street, Benton, Illinois. That's a shed with a blue tarp on it. We'll just hand out some court orders here real quick, sir. Yeah. The person that owns that shed,
Yeah, we have it.
okay, good. They were actually working there on about 1:20 Sunday afternoon yesterday, and that wall on the left now has some boards on it.
We'll go next one.
Yes. This is sliding over to the right of that shed. You can see the blue tarp on the left. Now there's the backyard. These were made about Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. There's been a few boards moved to be put on the shed. If we can go over one more there a little bit. That's the siding for the shed there, laying around. And there's the backyard. And is there another one, Rachel? Probably the court order or something there. Is that it?
That's the,
Oh, okay, that's to the right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Got like a big spool there for cable, and those wood pallets there, those came from Rural King. They give those away.
yeah.
You can get those for free, and there's a lot of pallets there. And this is a residential neighborhood, there's a court order. Tom Knockvich took this to court, I wrote the ticket. And we have a court order that the city of Benton Municipal Corporation shall have the authority to remove the accumulation of trash, junk, debris, including but not limited to wood, metal, plastic, pallets, shingle, siding, and wire steel. Further, the city of Benton would have to be allowed to record a lien for the cost incurred. And that was entered by Judge Paul Lamar on October 30th. It became a final order on November 29th. 30 days later, it was not appealed. I will say the defendant did not appear in court. Got a phone call from the defendant, and the defendant thought it was the next month. And because the defendant had just opened the letter from the circuit clerk that they received after September, the day after Labor Day in September, I think that was the 4th or the 5th. So, here's the problem, we got a court order, that's not a problem, that's a good thing. And Dave and Tom's done about all they can do at this point to get this approved by the court. But this council needs to decide what we're gonna do next. If we're gonna have an order, we're gonna enforce this. I mean, the defendant here is obviously still working on a shed, but hasn't really, but it has cleaned up a little bit. There's a little bit better path going from that back door to this picture taken in the alley. It's a little bit wider there, but that siding and all that stuff is still there. And, I mean, what do you do if you're a neighbor to this person?
It's a mess. I went down and looked at it.
You went and tried it.
It is downright. I knew the people. The first house I bought was right behind that. That neighborhood was a clean neighborhood. It's disgusting.
I've had several complaints about that.
Disgusting.
We finally did something, so now we gotta decide what to do.
Good.
I don't think the city's ever cleaned up a mess before. Normally people do things, but, you know, they don't.
We let people get by with it, they're going, he does almost.
And she understands that all of her construction materials are gonna go away?
Yeah, she understood that, you know, you can't take my shingles, I'm putting those on my sheds. The one with the blue tarp, because I understand it's been there about 2 years now. In that building condition there, you know. I mean, here's the deal, found a Jim Everton there, he apparently does this for extra work. He's a policeman over there, and Christopher Ziegler, I'm not sure, maybe both. Maybe the street department would be interested in moving this stuff, maybe the water department, I don't know, it's not here tonight. But, you know, we do have manpower, but, you know, we do water, we do sewer, we do streets, we do alleys, we do ditches. I don't know if we do cleanup like that, but.
Wonder what the cost would be on that, David?
You have a proposal in your
I have a
packet.
proposal in your packet there, but Jim Everton, he's got a. $3,500. So, I guess the question is why or why not? We gotta do something here, so.
Well, there's additional pictures in our packet that they're not on the.
I don't know, I've taken so many, I think they're the same, or maybe I've taken so many pictures, I don't know how many pictures I've
They're
taken.
very similar, those are taken for court.
That might have been dated at the time. And that's October the 28th. Okay, this is the 2 days before the court order was entered, and you can see that things haven't changed too much.
It would be worth your time to go look at it.
So, this $3,500 comes out of your demolition budget, which is already spent for
I don't know where it
this year.
comes out of,
What would it cost the city to do that, if everybody pitched in and done it, and did it?
whatever it costs, we can put a lien against the property. You know, we could always foreclose the lien, but somebody might be homeless after that, or we could wait till somebody sells the property, and that lien will still stick on there for about 20 years or more. But, you know, we as a group need to make that determination, and we're at a $250 purchase level, now we have to approve these things. I don't know, maybe the water department could help out, maybe the street, I'd be willing to help out, what the heck? Let's pitch in and clean.
I think we need to keep in the back of our minds that we also need to clean our own backyard, so we've got a lot of cleaning up to do in this city.
Yeah.
So the city has a obligation to clean up what we discussed previously ourselves.
Yes. I drove by and witnessed the homeowner putting up some of the, she's using the wood from the pallets on the shed. She's taking those pallets apart, using the wood on the shed, and I witnessed her actually with her tools and such, working on that.
Taking the pallets apart to put on the shed?
She's using the pallet wood.
To build her shed.
To put on her shed, and then I guess she's gonna go over it with the siding.
But we have to realize that this has been going on for some years. And, you know, we all in this room, I looked around, most everybody takes care of their yard and are very proud of it, they take care of their property. And I can't imagine being a neighbor in that area and looking across the street or looking across the alley and putting up with that. There's no need in that. And Donnie just said, and I'm just more clear he can make it, it's an atrocity.
It's the worst I've seen in town, I'll put it that way.
So we need to be aggressive and take care of these things that are pulling the city.
I don't think she'll ever do anything with it. She's gonna put something up for just a short time to pacify us. I'd say get it done.
What's on the agenda tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is it, do you want to employ Mr. Jim Emberton to remove those, or do you want the city of workers to do that if you made the decision to get it done?
That's up to their commissioners.
It's up to this council to approve that call.
So I know that you're talking the street and the water department.
Seems like they kick that around at different times.
Yeah. I think we need to talk to Mr. Perkins and Mr. Messerschmidt.
Yeah, at this point, I would make a motion to table it. That's just me.
And we need to get everybody together.
You can second that motion.
I second.
Yeah, and partly is, what I see in those pictures looks different than these pictures. This is dated 10/28, those were taken since then. And there has been some movement, but obviously not enough to make it clean, but...
I'm telling you.
Is there a timeline on this, Commissioner Messerschmidt, to think that, because, believe me, I've heard more from these neighbors in my tenure than anybody in the city of Benton may have a reason for contacting me. So, if we're gonna take this action on ourselves, we need to do it in a
Next meeting.
Rapid timeless.
We should have a decision next meeting, then.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yeah.
Commissioner Stewart? Commissioner Messerschmidt?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. Part E, I skipped over for there. A discussion and approval of voluntary termination of Charles Wiggs and Catherine Wiggs lake lot lease for lots number 1 and lots number 4, the North Lakes subdivision.
Mayor, those were basically, we received a letter from the Wiggses, from Charles and Catherine Wiggs, indicating that they no longer have the desire to lease those lots. So we just simply need a motion to accept them returning those lots to the city, that they're not going to pay the annual fee for the lease, and then we can put those out for some sort of proposal or bid for someone else down the road. But we need a motion to accept their termination of the leases.
I'll make that motion. Accept their,
Termination.
determination of that.
I second it.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story? Commissioner Messerschmidt?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. Part H is discussion or approval of scheduling city council meeting times for 2020. There's a letter in our packet, or summation of what it will be. It says, to all media requesting notification of meetings for 2020. Most always, and it has been in the past, a regular procedure that we have our meetings on the 2nd and 4th Monday of each month. This is unusual because the meeting tonight is at 4 o'clock, and normally the meeting is at 6 p.m. So generally speaking, and most always, we'll have our meetings on the 2nd and 4th meeting second and fourth Monday of each month at 6 p.m. Then it also covers the Benton Zoning and Planning Commission, the Benton Fire and Police Commission Board, the City of Benton Fireman Pension Board, the City of Benton Police Pension Board, and the City of Benton Foreign Fire Insurance Board. Do we need to read each one, Tom?
We just need a motion, it's in our packs, we need a motion to accept those notifications of the new meeting times for 2020, Mayor.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept these meeting times for 2020 as presented.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messersohn?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. The mayor gets to appoint people to the Benton Civic Center, and the Benton Civic Center is really a gem for the city of Benton. And the people that served on it, that is serving and have served on the board, have done an exceptional job. With regret, we have a resignation, and it's because of somebody moving from Benton to another city. And it's from, it says, Honorable Mayor Congress's regret that I inform you that my decision to resign as a member of the Benton Civic Center Authority Board. Recently, my husband Dave Bauer and I moved to Evansville, Indiana area. Although we still own a home in Benton, we may be seen in town from time to time, but I do feel that I cannot continue to serve. On November 15, 2019, I contacted Chairman Rick Knight and asked that he notify you on my intention to resign. The letter is signed by Joellen Bauer. She's done an exceptional job on the board. She and Dave are married to each other and also married to the Benton Civic Board. So kudos to Joellen. We hate to see her go. She and Dave have done a wonderful job, and they've been exceptional. With this, Rick Knight, who is the chairman of the Benton Civic Center Board, has recommended a person by the name of Shelley Ingram, and I've gotten nothing but kudos from people about Shelley. Shelley is in agreement that she'll serve and serve with gratitude. So I recommend that we do appoint Shelley Ingram to the Benton Civic Center Board.
Need a motion for that?
Motion to accept the resignation of Joellen Bauer first.
Yeah. Well, I make a motion we accept the resignation of Joellen Bauer.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messersohn?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes.
Now we need a motion to appoint Ms. Ingram.
I can make a motion that we appoint Ms. Ingram to the Civic Center Board.
Commissioner Garvelia?
Yes.
Commissioner Story?
Yes.
Commissioner Messersohn?
Yes.
Mayor Condon?
Yes. Okay, 10, miscellaneous business. 11, old business. Did you say something, Dick? Did you have any old business, or?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
No.
12 is new business.
Yes.
Garbage murders. Oh, man.
I tell you what, kids down in our neighborhood, every night. They don't do it during the day, they do it at night. Last 3 nights, I drove around trying to find it. I haven't found it, but I'm looking. And I do. Have a fire department and a police department down there.
What do you do? Okay, what's the?
They can't burn after sundown anything. They can't burn trash. They can burn leaves, sticks, they can't burn 2x4s, natural stuff.
Okay.
Yard waste only.
Yard
waste.
Right, only tree limbs, whatever, leaves, grass clippings, but not trash. Why would anybody burn trash? We're so close to the line, county and Benton. Why would they, in Benton, why would you burn trash when you got a pickup? You know? And it might be out in the county, if it is, we're just, have to put up with it, I guess. That's all.
So you are gonna approach that
Oh,
problem?
I'm gonna find it.
Don't get him, Oscar.
Believe me, Donnie, like the pink panther.
My grandson and I spent an hour the other night.
We're gonna go sniff them out.
Yeah.
It is hazy.
No, that's for sure.
Any other new business? Matters from the public audience.
Yes.
You did it before 8.
Just one for each finger here. That's all I got.
Julie?
Am I first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, you talking about us cleaning up our own backyard.
Yes, ma'am.
You're absolutely right.
Thank you.
But it reminds me of something I was told a few months ago by a friend. He's since retired. But his job took him in proximity all over southern Illinois to various cities. And he worked with primarily the street department. He always felt, of course, he's a little OCD like me, but he always felt you could tell how well a town's street department was run by the street barns. He did not have anything good to say about it.
I would agree.
He said it was the most disorganized mess
I would
he has seen, and he's been to a lot of cities in southern Illinois. He said it is a mess. So,
I'm with you. I agree.
and you know, he subscribes to my area life. You can't get anything done unless you have a game plan and you're organized. Things run smooth. So maybe that's something we'd like to look at.
That's good feedback, yeah. Oh, I'm excited that, you know,
I'm not saying that to be critical, but
Sure.
while we're at it,
Well, and that's one of the things, I mean, and just what I've talked with Skinner about and kind of my big picture vision is what's great is we've been able to take the trailer next to the street barn, and that's become city property, so we'll excavate basically that trailer off that property, which will give us some more space. And we do have some equipment that was purchased and never really utilized like it should be.
yes.
So we're in the process of how do we liquidate that, turn those funds back into things that we actually do use. Then I've even talked to them about how do we stage our material, where does it go? I've even discussed some fencing, partly for visualization, but also partly for security, because we do
Right.
have contractors that are coming onto the city property,
Right.
helping themselves to city materials.
I've wondered at times when I went by there if I couldn't just go in there and...
It happened in the last couple of months, I've personally seen it.
I have more security on our workshop at home.
Yes. So I think that you're right, I think there's a lot of things that have been neglected over time.
Yeah.
That, like, it's a slow process. One of the things we discovered that in one of the barns are outdated street signs that we can't utilize, and it looks like an antique store's worth of street signs, literally. So the question is, why do we still have these? Could we not turn those into revenue? And so little things like that to big things like when they say we don't use that, then why do we have it? Let's figure out a way to move it off-site and either turn it into dollars or turn it into scrap or turn it into, flip it to something else that we can use back in our department. I don't know that they've ever felt the freedom to voice what they feel like they want and what they use and what they need. So we're in the process of developing that
Where
conversation.
the process went askew, but
Yep.
it must be askew.
20 minutes today, if the fire department hadn't been there 20 minutes, you'd have got it in the barn because it caught on fire.
Our barn caught on fire today.
Right at the edge of it. They had a brush fire, and they said it burnt to the bottom of the barn, and your guys didn't know it.
No, I hadn't heard that today. Yeah.
Well, they had a fire call there. They
Okay.
had somebody set a fire, and it got burned
In-
right to the barn.
In an adjacent space.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
You didn't say it, did you?
No. Don't have my daughter with me all day. She doesn't lie at all.
The mayor said it.
The reason why I'm saying I usually go to calls like that. I was out at the mine, and I said, what kind of fire do you have? Behind a street barn, another 20 minutes, there wouldn't be no street barn.
So it came across the tracks,
I guess it did.
I bet it did. And they were probably not there when it happened. That was around the field, yeah. I'll drive back behind the bar and take a look at it now. Now I'm curious. We're blocking. Just leave a shell left.
I'm done.
Okay, Tom. Get a clarification. How many credit cards do we have now?
We have one.
Just for the whole city?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought they used to have one in the fire department and just one. Okay.
One physical card.
Did you guys get hold of the airport credit card and deal with it? Okay.
Yeah, there's no card.
Okay. And there's two of them answered. Three, Illinois Municipal League, regarding the new drug policy, does it have specific provisions in the policy for dealing with employees in cannabis, or yes, no, or?
It does, and there'll be a copy available to the public, Tom, once that's been adopted, you're welcome to come by and get a copy.
Well, I thought you just adopted it.
Once it's right, I mean, they can make a copy for you, we've not adjourned this meeting yet, but if you wanna come by and get a copy, I think City Hall closes at 4:30 now, or 4 o'clock, so it'll be open Thursday
I
morning.
just thought you read it already, so you would have
We have-
said,
we
yes,
have.
it does have a
It
provision
does.
in there for that, or?
But if you'd like to have a copy, and typically, I know traditionally, you and historically, you have came and got copies of documents,
Yeah.
but feel free to get a copy.
Well, I'd like to have one, yeah, because
Yeah.
I've had that issue I've had to deal with, but, not having everything cleaned up. I know back when I retired, I went to, EPA in Marion and asked them if they ever needed someone with a license and for a voluntary inspector, and they said that the state wouldn't let them do that. I'd be more than happy if Mr. Perkins needs extra inspectors to go around his places and report to him on stuff that needs to be cleaned up. I'd volunteer. If he-
Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear you say it, because I don't know if your blood pressure would tolerate like mine.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
And, hey, and I know what it needs to be cleaned up and what doesn't. This is supposed to be dirty, because that's what it's designed for, and this here is not. It's supposed to be clean, so nobody can pull the wool over my eyes. But if he needs any help, I'd volunteer if he wants it.
Can I say something?
It's a shame that we've got a facility out there like that, brand new, and they let it go.
Well,
Bunch of bull.
and like I said, we got everybody from out of town now. I'm a firm believer, if you live in town, or at least in the great city, when you're paying taxes for, it gives you more emphasis to take care of something. And that was my fifth one, had to do with these contracts. I didn't know if you guys understood fully what I was talking about, but like, the contract before last, all new hires shall reside in the 47 school district within 6 months from the date of hire, okay? And then the contract you're under currently, employees covered by this contract must reside within the boundaries of the county. And that just makes no sense to me, and I'm getting my FOIAs ready to go to every single town in Franklin County, because I want to know how many employees can reside here and work there. I bet there's none. I bet they have to live in that certain area so they help pay taxes.
Yeah, I just went to a mayor's meeting, and I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying what people tell me, is that it's getting harder and harder to find, especially policemen that lives.
Well, I'm not talking about, most of the
Yeah, I
policemen
know,
are exempt
and
because
then it's-
they don't have to be in that
Then we
area.
start talking about, the people in other departments, and it's getting harder to find qualified people who can pass testing and are willing to go on to schooling to get licensed. And Tommy, it's different than it was maybe even 5 years ago.
But see, I don't understand why they won't move here for a job.
I don't know. I mean, I've asked you, we've all talked about it. I don't
Within
know
3
what
miles.
Yes, ma'am?
Just one more comment about maintaining things. I have noticed that fire department, they take a lot of pride in their facility.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Story, if you could, we do appreciate it, if you could pass that along. They do take a lot of pride in that.
Thank you.
And before we leave, thank you, Rachel, for the flash screen, there's two beautiful things in here tonight. The flash screen's one of them, and the next one's my granddaughter. And she came from St. Louis to visit us. Thank you, Olivia Rose, okay? But isn't that a beautiful picture of Sawyer? I'm looking. Just take a real good hard look at that, Julie, because it's not gonna look that way in X amount of months.
I got some relatives that are down, that they're just sick of being torn down, but they know it has to be, you know.
Who actually took that photo? Rachel?
Pardon me?
Who actually took that? Jonathan Walters?
Jonathan Walters.
Okay, Jonathan Walters gets credit for that.
Yes, he does,
I
absolutely.
mean, that thing is gorgeous.
It really is.
That's your...
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Have a Merry Christmas. Second. Sorry. We're all leaving.
You good? Commissioner Benton?
Yes.